Hi everyone and welcome to Module 3. Again, we're going to continue to talk about the Affordable Care Act. Last week in Module 2, we talked about what the Affordable Care Act will do for the nation, what it will do for you as individualized patients. We talked about the benefits, the positives, etc. about the Affordable Care Act. So what we're going to talk about a little bit this week is about really some of the dilemmas that we see with the Affordable Care Act. And one of the biggest mistakes many people make about when they talk about the Affordable Care Act and whatnot is that everybody's going to be covered under the Affordable Care Act. However, that's not true. The Affordable Care Act will still leave 23 million people who are uninsured. Some of that is due to there's still some loopholes in the system, and then in addition to, you still have the ability to not get health insurance. Now, you will pay a penalty or a fine, but you do not have to get health insurance. It's kind of one of the misnomers. And then finally, another dilemma is, really in order to achieve true universal coverage, we need a single payer system. Well, we know that that's not true. That part was rescinded in the Supreme Court's decision. One of the few things that the Supreme Court did rescind as it relates to the Affordable Care Act. Okay. So one of the positives that we talked about last week was that the Affordable Care Act will abolish pre-existing illness as it relates to you not receiving coverage from a health insurance company. Okay. So one of the dilemmas that now, the flip of the coin is underwriting without risk rating increases premiums for everyone. So really what that's getting at is for all of you and myself, I'm going to lump myself in with you younger students, but most of you in your early 20s as your juniors right now, for all of us, and myself, I'm 34, we are in the younger risk categorization, especially all of you. Okay, that means you carry a low risk, meaning that you're going to pay your monthly premiums for health insurance, but odds are that you are not going to really get a severely debilitating illness or disease that you're going to be in the hospital for prolonged periods of time. So you are going to pay your monthly premiums but not really use a lot of healthcare expenditures. So the health insurance companies are going to make money off of us. We're the population that they want. Okay, they don't want the 70-year-olds who are 55, 60-year-olds who's going to be paying in their monthly premiums, but then they're probably on a bunch of medications. They may need extended hospitalization stays, etc. So they're not going to be making money off of them. Okay. So the question then becomes again with that dilemma is how do premiums remain affordable? Okay. Well, how they remain affordable is, I guess it's twofold. The big question about how does it become affordable really is because there are certain insurance companies who are able to really do some cherry picking, meaning that different companies have different population bases that they hire. So all of us, if we all worked for one particular company, we would be very attractive to a health insurance plan because we're very, very young. So the question of it remaining affordable is very valid, meaning that how do insurance companies now balance? So if they're unable to say, hey, you're not going to become part of our health insurance plan because you have HIV, you have cancer, you have what that's a pre-existing, all that goes out the window now. So if you sign up, your employer offers, A, B, C insurance, and you have a pre-existing and you sign up, they can't deny you. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, and then the cost dilemma, which is a big one. So how does health reform be unsustainable? Any health reform would be unsustainable without control costs, and that's valid. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Scott Satig's health reform or if it's the Affordable Care Act. Any health reform, especially as a diverse nation as we have, especially with our free enterprise system, it's going to cost money. Okay, so cost savings and the ACA have big questions, and it's the fact. But some of this is unquantifiable until years down the road. For example, all of you as college students, you can now have health insurance under your family's plan because up until the age of 26 because you're a college student. That didn't exist in the past. So many college students who didn't have health insurance ended up at safety net hospital or something along those lines because they didn't have health insurance. Well, guess what? Somebody's still paying for that. So the hospital that is treating you, they can't just treat everyone for free. I mean, they have bills to pay as well. So what happens is those safety net hospitals, the federal and state government pushes out a ton of money in the form of dish payments and uncompensated care. So now that you're going to have health insurance, hopefully the government won't be paying for that. So again, it's all unquantifiable because it hasn't happened yet. So the cost saving is this question, and it's going to take time for us to figure out whether or not it does make sense. Okay. So if you remember back to the very beginning on one of the first dilemmas, the question was how many people are still going to be without health insurance? And it's important that you know not so much the specific number, but you know the volume. So just want to make sure that everybody remembers that. Okay. And if you don't remember, it is 23 million people, which is still a lot of people who potentially could be without health insurance. Okay. Now, when we're going through these reform issues, especially the dilemmas, the benefits, and the positives, it's important that you take time and reflect, and that you don't get these confused. So take time to stop the recording and rewind, and to take notes. Especially, you may want to do note categorization by almost a cost-benefit analysis, or even a pro and con, and kind of keep those in your mind of, okay, here's all the good things about the Affordable Care Act, and this is what they're going to do, and here's the things that we're not sure that they're going to do, or may be negative things. And it's important that with the Affordable Care Act, and it's so big, that we don't listen to media, we don't listen to family and relatives. We look at the facts, we look at the information that we have, and that's why it's very important, especially in these modules, that you listen to very carefully. And don't forget to reflect back and take your notes and take your time. Thank you. Have a great week.